Time.
Hey, I'm your host, Michelle Hill, and today we are not stalking. We are talking with Kristina Rowland. I promise no stalking involved here. Hi, Kristina.
Wouldn't be the first time, but
Oh
hi,
my
thank you for
God.
having me.
That's like the third time I'm done.
No, that's perfect.
Please share with us what you do and how you help people.
That is a wonderful question. So what I get to do, who I get to serve is a pretty unique thing. Who who I serve is anybody who has had a traumatic relationship with money. And I know that that sounds kind of, and I don't know if anybody has thought, who's listening, if anyone who's thought whether or not they have experienced trauma when it comes to money, but certain ones of us know that we have. Maybe we've not actively thought about it, but when I say that phrase, usually it triggers something deeply in someone, and they recognize, oh my gosh, I definitely think that that is something that maybe I need to work through. Maybe I've
Right.
experienced some of that before in my life, or I'll go through, maybe 2 or 3 questions. We'll have a brief conversation. They're like, "Oh my gosh, yes. This definitely sounds like something that I might be working with." And the reason that I do that is money is probably one of the most important relationships that people have. And it's so funny because if you pick up any book about money, it's going to tell you how much money is math, but money is not math. Money is psychology, how we use it, how it uses us,
Mhm.
all of the nuance that goes along with it. Those are very, you can liken it to almost any other relationship that you have. And at the point in time where we treat it like a relationship, that's where things really start to improve on a personal level.
That's really interesting. And so, like, what would be some of the scenarios that you've helped people with?
Well, I hesitate always to share first client stories. I will share with you myself though.
Perfect.
I think that that's probably the most reasonable. And I I have to preface, I come from a family very rich in family love.
Mhm.
Okay. But the only thing I knew about money growing up was that we didn't have any. That was here starts and stops my understanding of money at all, was that we didn't have any. And m- great people, salt of the earth that I come from, but money was always a problem. Money was always a concern. It was always something to stress over.
Mhm.
And that permeated my entire childhood. Now, it isn't to say that I didn't have a very normal American childhood, but all of this all of this belief, all of this modeled behavior,
Mhm.
I took into my adult life. And it was sabotaging the goals that I had for myself. Goals as a individual, goals as an entrepreneur, and I had to figure out what was going on before I could fix it. Right? I had to figure out, why am I behaving the way that I'm behaving
Mhm.
before I had any hopes to fix that behavior, right? And so the behavior that was modeled for me, for example, was anytime my mom would get in a fight with my dad, which was often,
Mhm.
we would go to the mall, which as a young gal, man, yes, please and thank you. Like, let's do it again.
Yes.
Kind of situation where it was I learned that in the middle of mom and dad fighting, it was very anxiety inducing. I'm the oldest, so I felt very protective of my younger brothers. But I knew at the end of this, we were going to go shopping. And it wasn't a conscious thing, it was a subconscious thing, but I knew, okay, the fight's not going to last forever. And afterward, we're going to go shopping. So it's going to be okay. But when we would go shopping, because we didn't have money, we would leave the bags in the car when we got back home. So we would have to go shopping when my dad was at work. We would leave the bags in the car if he was home by the time we were done. And then when he was away again, we would take the bags inside, take the clothes out of the bag, the tags off the clothes go in the closet like they've been there forever. Tags go back in the bags, bag go back in the car, and we go and we throw them away at like a
Wow.
grocery store, a gas station, something close by.
Right.
Because my dad could not know that we had been shopping because we were spending money.
Did they not have a joint account? So did he not know that way, or?
Well, my dad is a lot of things. My dad's an alcoholic, he's a narcissist, and he was not just emotionally and sometimes physically abusive to my mom, but he was financially abusive to her.
Mm.
So, like, one of my rules when it comes to client work is that we don't feel guilty about using the tools that were available to us when they were the only tools that were available to us.
Yeah.
Okay. So the situation that my mom was in, what she had to do to get through that situation, I don't judge her for it, and she shouldn't feel guilty over it. That's just my personal belief.
Yeah.
Now,
I
if she
agree.
wants to pick up and use a different tool because she likes the results of that tool better now than she liked the results of the other tool, by all means. But we're not going to feel guilty over using the tools that were at our disposal when they were the only tools available. But looking at that, I took that behavior and it went further than that. It was, my mom would order stuff online when ordering online became a thing, and we had to get home in a certain amount of time to get the packages from the front porch. Otherwise, it was going to be a problem. And just all of this behavior that was spend money and hide it. When you are feeling emotional, that triggers a response. The response is spend money, and because it's money that we shouldn't be spending, we're gonna hide that.
Are they still married?
No, they're not. No,
Okay.
they're not. And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing
Sounds
that
like it
they're
is.
not married. But I took that behavior into a healthy relationship. I took that into a loving relationship with my husband, who is loving and transparent and caring and, all of these different things. And it's not that my husband and I had a ton of money either, but I was causing my own problems because I would have an emotion. I was sad, or I was mad, or I was frustrated, or I was lonely, but I would have this emotion. This emotion would trigger a response. The response was spend money. And because money was tight, I didn't tell him about all of that. And I got to the point where I would take out credit cards that he didn't know about at stores that he wasn't aware of.
Did y'all have joint accounts as well, or?
We did. We had a joint account. But when you learn behavior from somebody who has been financially abused, there are workarounds for everything.
Yeah.
For everything. I mean, one, for example, is when you go to the grocery store, Target, something like this, they ask you if you want cash back. The cash back shows up. It doesn't show up anywhere really on the receipt. It just
kind of looks like you spent that much in groceries.
It looks like you spent that much in groceries, but you end up with $20
Extra.
extra or $40 extra.
Okay.
And then that gets squirreled away.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it was that behavior, because I took that behavior and I put it into a relationship that was healthy. I took that tool and brought it into a situation that didn't call for it, and that created problems.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 2009, I lost my job, which was really unfortunate for our family, because it was 60% of my income was my income.
Mm.
And we had a mountain of debt. We had consumer debt, credit cards, car payments, all of this kind of stuff. The only thing we didn't have was a mortgage, but that's because nobody would let us have one. Student loans, things like this. And at that point, I felt so culpable. I'm not saying that I felt that way just because I felt that way.
You're right.
We were in that situation. It wasn't my fault that I lost that job. That's a story for a different time. But yeah, that was horrible. But the debt coming in, even though the income wasn't, that was a lot my fault.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go. So I tried to figure out how to fix it, right? And so that led me down a rabbit hole of personal finance, which is when I discovered what I call the Weight Watchers, books. These are the ones that are gonna give you a limited budget, spend as little as you possibly can. It's all very analytical, very mathematic, very no emotion involved whatsoever. And that works so long as the person doesn't have any emotions.
Sounds like Dave Ramsey.
Well, you said it, not me.
Hey, I mean, I think his stuff works, but and I shouldn't say but it yeah, I think you're exactly right. It's you have to follow it to a T to make it work.
And you better hope and pray that you never get emotional.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you ever get depressed, if you get anxious, if you get manic, if you're at all
Yeah.
an emotionally driven person, it it is not successful long range. It's not maintainable, right? And it's because it's not holistic. It completely leaves out that whole pool of thought
Yeah.
when it comes to finances. They leave out the human component.
Yeah.
And so you can see success in it for a while,
Mm.
but it's just like any other Weight Watchers crash diet. You're gonna go back to being a human
Mm.
at some point in time. And then what tools do you have available inside of that system to help when that happens? And
Mm.
I just don't see that there are any tools in that system that are
Yeah,
available when that
it's
happens.
it's very rigid, and I used to listen to him all the time, and I'll tell you what he does a lot, and I think this is the part that may work, I don't know, but it's repetitive. He repeats the same thing, right? And I mean, in some things it's helped me a lot, but see, I too am an emotional spender. I don't spend. I mean, I hate shopping. Actually, I hate food shopping. I hate clothes shopping. I hate shopping. Now, I like Home Depot, but I don't need something all the time from Home Depot, so I don't shop. But I am bipolar, and so what I do shop for is marketing materials or stuff for my business. That's where I like to shop, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I do differently. But I get in a hole, I get myself out, and then I put myself right back in the stupid same hole. And I'm like, what the heck? And so um that is the struggle, right? And so I'll tell myself it's only 500. I can pay that off pretty quick, right? That's
Mhm.
not too bad. And then I'll do something else. Oh, it's only 1,000. All right. Well, I can pay that off pretty quick. But then that's on top of the 500, right? And so I keep telling myself, oh, it's only 200. So it's okay. I can pay that off pretty quick. And then before you know it, I'm in deep and I'm like, wait, what? And then I tighten up and I get back out of debt. And then I do this roller coaster again. And I'm like, okay, I'm kind of sick of it actually.
Yeah.
I'm really, really sick of it because uh I don't like being in debt. A lot of things I have are paid off, but when it comes to my business, um, and see, with my husband, everything is separate. I have a son who's 30 and he's got 3 kids. And so we are a blended family. So I'm not the mom of his kids and he's not the dad of my son, right? And so we met when I think my son's the youngest out of all 4. I think when he was 10. And
Okay.
at the time, I was putting my son in private school and he was doing his thing with his ex. And I said, look, I don't want to raise your kids because we were completely different. I was more strict and he wasn't. And I said, you raise yours with your ex. I'm not getting involved in that. And I'm not taking anything away from her. And I'm going to raise my son and do my thing. And so we both love it, right? Because everything's separate. You can't come in here and tell me how to spend my money. You can't tell me how to do my business. You can give me your opinion, but he does not know my finances. And so in that respect, it's easy to keep secrets, right?
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
very easy. And even if even if he knew, to me it doesn't matter. I mean, I just spent actually $1,000 going to a military boot camp, right? So it for the weekend. So you pay the money and then you're it's like a special ops boot camp, and so you're there for 2 days. I mean it's kind of like Hell Week, but for kids, right? I mean, if you're going to compare it to like actual Marines
Okay.
or
Yeah.
uh
Seals.
yeah, SEALs.
Hell
Yeah,
Week.
it's like
Yeah. Hell Week and seal stuff.
okay, yes. So it's very minute to what they actually go through, but it is hell for you, right?
Sure.
Uh very so anyway, it was the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. And I spent 1,000 and he's like, well, he was shocked that I spent 1,000. Then he goes to work and he tells his boss. Well, his boss and his his wife, the boss's wife, they're very strict with their money. They listen to Dave Ramsey. Very, very strict. But they're to the point where like don't spend anything, kind of like you can't enjoy it, right? They have a really nice house and they do a lot of things, but he can't go buy whatever he wants. So it's very strict to me. So he was shocked that I spent $1,000. And my husband's like, look, it's her money. She can do whatever she wants with it. And I like that. I bust my butt for my money. I want to be able to do what I want with it. I do not want to dig myself another hole like I've already done. So I I don't have the depressed modes with the bipolar. I take the medication and stuff, but I'm not going to say I'm super manic either. I think I'm pretty much in here, but the spending's there. I'm always wanting to do something for my business. I'm always that's where I get hung up at. Um and that's the struggle.
Yeah. And that's a struggle for a lot of people. Um, and it's because we hold a particular set of beliefs about money
Yeah,
that are not our beliefs. They're inherited beliefs. We
right.
got them before we were 7. We got them from our parents, whoever, was or whoever was around at that point in time. The adult that was around the most at that point
Yeah.
in time. And they got it from their adult who was around most of the time until they were 7. And it just, keeps repeating all the way.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about money because my mom didn't know anything about money because her mom didn't know anything about money because her mom didn't know anything
Now,
about
see, my mom, man, she is like excellent with money. And my husband is actually really, really good with money. Um, Now my mom grew up extremely poor. And but when she married my dad, they had a lot of money. So I grew up very spoiled, right?
it. Okay.
Um then this was in California. So then we moved to Texas, I don't know, 78, 79. I think I just gave my age away. And soon after, like a couple years after, they got divorced. I don't know what happened. I just knew we didn't have much money anymore, right?
Yeah.
And then in 90, I met my first late husband. Now, he made a ton of money before I met him. Now, he was 20 years older than I was. He made a lot of money. I don't think he was great. I don't think he was great with money. To him, I think his idea of money was if you want to have money, you have to kind of spend money. There were some things I just didn't agree with that, but that's kind of how he thought. He was disabled when I met him. So he was 38, I was 18. And he literally saved my life again for like that. That's another story. So his mom was disabled and I had our son in 91. So we didn't have any money, right? We were on welfare. The 10 years we were married, we were on welfare. I hated every freaking bit of welfare. Every day for 10 years, I hated it. And I vowed I will never get on that again. I've had 7 jobs at one time, so I don't get on welfare again. That's how much I hate it. But I went from rich to poor. And it is it's very interesting to get both aspects of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not rich now. If I'd not be in debt, I'd be super comfortable, right? If I got hurt, my bills are everything's manageable. I do not live above my means. I can pay my house payments. I can, everything is comfortable other than now I'm in debt, right? So it's been interesting to go through the two aspects. And I'm not very good at saving. I can save, but I'm not good at that, right? And so I forgot my point. Other than you were saying where you get it from, and that's kind of been my financial background.
Yeah. Well, and like I was saying, those beliefs, a lot of times we didn't even pick those. Those are inherited beliefs, right? And we just haven't replaced them. We haven't replaced them with anything else, right? And so our beliefs are creating a certain habit pattern and actions that go along with those beliefs. And that's producing results in our life. And those results are reinforcing the belief that we had in the first place.
So we're kind of like feeding the circle that we have, right?
Yes, we are feeding this monster.
Yeah,
And so this what I call, financial roller coaster from hell,
yeah,
which is I have and I don't, and I have and I don't, and I have and I don't.
yeah.
That comes from that is the fruit of the problem. It's not the root of the problem.
Oh, okay.
The root of the problem is a belief that is held about money and what its place is in your life.
So how do you change your belief on that? I mean, how do you make it where you're not, like you said, feeding this monster and continuing this stupid circle that drives you nuts?
It drives you nuts.
Yes.
That's a great question because the devil's in the details, right?
Yeah.
That is the question.
Yeah.
And that is what I do. So I help people identify what that belief is
Okay.
and replace that belief with one that they choose instead.
Right.
Okay. So, and I'll give you a couple of examples.
Okay.
If you tell me where you overspend, I can generally tell you what it's an insecurity that is the bridge between that belief and that action. There's an insecurity in between.
I'm gonna tell you that is like spot on. You
Okay.
don't even have to give me details, but because I obviously I know what I'm spending on, right?
Yep.
And I know why.
Yep.
Um, uh, and so that makes like complete sense to me, even though I know we're not, I mean, you and I are speaking like in circles, but I get it.
So for me, and I always use myself as an example of this process. My fruit of the problem was shopping. Okay. Specifically shopping for clothes.
Hmm.
Okay. I just I love I love clothes. This is it was like borderline obsession because I would spend money that I knew I didn't have on new clothes, shoes, bags, whatever.
Hmm.
All of this stuff. That's where my spending would go. And that goes back to, okay, the belief that, well, the insecurity that I had that was translating there is had to do with self-worth,
Hmm.
okay, and self-image. And whenever I was in an emotional state, and I don't say like a negative emotion, they're just all emotions, right? But whenever I was feeling sad or lonely or mad, frustrated, I would go shopping because I was trying to fix something on the that I didn't like on the inside with something pretty on the outside.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So it was a belief about me, it was an insecurity that I had that was causing me to have this particular behavior.
Wow. And so
Okay.
once you figured that out for you, how long, and I think it's going to vary for everyone, right? But how long do you feel that it took you to be able to deal with that and go, okay, I'm not going to spend anymore, this is done, right?
Well, I should be clear. I never suggest we don't spend anymore.
Hmm.
Okay, because that's just not realistic.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so I changed my beliefs in a couple of different ways, and some beliefs were easy to change, and some were harder to change,
Hmm.
and that causes the difference. And it's how much you believe it is what makes it,
Hmm.
the roots are deeper in something that you really, really believe or something that's just you've kind of accepted,
Yeah.
right? So the things that I had kind of accepted were a lot easier to replace with something different than something that I had grown up believing, right? Like I grew up believing that money doesn't grow on trees, which is crap.
Yeah.
Money's made of cotton, it's a paper product. Like,
Yeah.
money absolutely grows on trees.
Yeah.
Uh, and not just in that sense, but in the sense that 20% of all of the dollars that have ever been printed in US history were printed in the 18 months following March of 2020.
Wow.
Money can just be now we're dealing with ramifications of this, of course,
Yeah.
but there isn't to say there's no law, there's no rule that says that money is a finite resource. It isn't.
Hmm.
Okay. And so that was something that I had to work on. Okay. That was something people who hoard money, that is their insecurity,
Mhm.
is that they're afraid it's going to run out at some point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they, going back to your husband's bosses, and I don't know them at all,
Yeah.
no judgment whatsoever, but people who have a lot of money but don't ever enjoy it, they are resource
Mhm.
hoarders.
I
They
remember they had a video of, the war, not, like, with Germany, they were burning the money, right? It wasn't
Oh
worth
yeah,
anything.
was worth it.
No, and so you're like, when you see something like that, and you throw it in this mess you already have, it makes it sometimes to me a little more difficult because you're going, Is at some point, is it gonna be the same like this? So, do I hoard money? Do do I what do I do, right?
Yeah, or it produces the opposite effect where you're like, well, I can't take it with me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and so they're just all of these different beliefs that are going to produce different results. See, the one where money doesn't grow on trees would lead people to believe that money is hard to come by.
Mhm.
So guess what? They have a hard time getting their hands on
A
it,
and I
especially when they need it.
and I think that, I think that I believe in God, but, maybe not all my audience.
Same.
So yeah, whatever you tell the universe, right? So the other day I was in North Carolina in a junk convention, and they had these cool door prizes. And I haven't won a door prize in actually a long time, and I used to win a lot. And so I was sitting there at the table and I go, "Damn it, I'm going to win a door prize today." And lo and behold, I kid you not, I won one.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yep, that's the attitude I got to have with everything." That's the, you know, and
Yeah.
I think it goes with money too.
Absolutely it does. And that is a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
It is it is physics, it is mechanics, okay? That intention creates reality,
Mhm.
okay? Like and especially this isn't a belief, this isn't, something that I believe or manufactured for no reason. The most recent Nobel prize was given to this experiment that concluded without a shadow of a doubt, peer reviewed, published, analyzed, that intention affects physical matter.
Wow.
Okay. And there were a lot of other things to that experiment, but that was one of my biggest takeaways. But I mean, when we're talking about quantum mechanics, quantum tunneling,
Mhm.
and the more, I don't know, the more advanced the science becomes, the more metaphysical it looks,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you really bother to study it. But so if we have a belief, okay, and this belief is creating an action, this action is creating a result, we want a different result, right? We've decided we want a different result in our life. We cannot start at the action level. That is where most people do. Most
Mhm.
people will start at the action level where they say, okay, I'm going to budget and I'm going to cut back. I'm not going to go to Starbucks. I'm not going to go out to eat anymore. No more vacations. I'm going to get a second job. I'm going to do this. They take the action, but they never identify or replace the underlying belief. And so they can only maintain that action for so long before their brain wants them to act in accordance with their beliefs.
Mhm.
Your brain does not want you to act outside of your beliefs. It creates what is called cognitive dissonance when you behave in a way that is opposed to your own beliefs. It feels awful.
Mhm.
It feels horrid. And the reason that it does is because your brain wants you to act out your belief system. Okay. So that's why we cannot, people will say, I'm going to fix this. and then they can't. I'm gonna, and it's not just money. I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna go back to college. The list of I'm gonna is
Yeah.
forever long, you know? But the belief is not only identifiable, and how you can identify it is in the places where you emotionally spend, but you can pick what you would like to replace that belief with,
Mm-hmm.
because you are now conscious, you're now part of the process. See, the belief was something you got prior to your age of 7, usually.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have any choice. This was just, you inherited a belief, right? You get to pick whichever one you want now.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of reverse engineer. What are the results that you want? Okay. What would you need to believe in order to get those results? And then your intention is the action in between. Once that belief takes root, your habits and your actions are going to start producing the results whether you want them to or not, because your brain wants to act out its programming.
Right. Wow, that's really amazing, actually. I love it. I've been writing notes, so
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's valuable to you.
Oh gosh, yeah. I like the record button because I'll be going back listening to it. But yeah, that's completely fascinating, and it actually makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like you can't put a band-aid on a deep cut and expect it to get any better. You have to go get stitches and treat it that way, maybe. So sounds like the same analogy. This is not something you just go, okay, I'm going to do a diet, and I'm going to not eat this and this and then be miserable, which like my husband loves to do. He did a keto diet, and I'm like, dude, this is not good for you. You need to stop. I think he did it for 2 months and he got kind of sick. And I'm like, okay, you know, I'll just keep my thoughts to myself. But that's what it reminds me of, is like every time I want to do something, you know, healthy or different, it's not just about not eating all the time. It's about the mental, right, part of it. And I always try and think of, well, how am I going to feel after I go eat this donut? Because after I eat it, I usually feel like crap. I mean, not only just physically, but the fact that I knew I shouldn't have had it, and then I gave in, right? And I went and ate it. So, and it's the same with money. I'll spend and spend and spend, and I don't mind the spending. It's when I continue to make excuses and go, but it's okay. It's just a small amount. But it's okay. It's just a small amount. I'm just doing this for this time. And oh, it's just for the business. So I don't like my excuses anymore. But I can see where I give them to myself all the time, right? And give myself that it's okay to do something that, no, it's actually not okay. You need to stop emotionally spending, and figure out that you can buy this. There's nothing saying I can't do it, but it doesn't have to be done right now or today. The world is not going to stop if I don't pay for this right now, right?
Yeah, we've survived up
Yeah.
until this point without it.
Yes.
There's
And
a really
so,
good chance that we'll survive a
yeah.
little while longer without it too.
And it seems like we don't. And here's what this one drives me nuts. This is my pet peeve that I do with myself. I do like doing crafts. Actually, I just bought a Cricut. I cannot tell you the thoughts that I had before I bought the Cricut on why I needed the damn Cricut. Have I used it? No, I have not. So I get frustrated because I have these exorbitant ideas on things that I want to do, and oh, it's going to save money, and oh, okay, that's great. And if I don't write them down, I don't remember why I bought the thing, and now I'm stuck. Now, thankfully, my stepdaughter knows how to use a Cricut, so that helps me a bit, but it's still frustrating, and I'm like, okay, I didn't need this right now. I probably didn't need it 5 years from now, but now I got it. So now I better figure out how to use it because damn it, I'm putting it to use as soon as I can figure out why I bought it. So it's, I do that all the time, and that drives me nuts. I used to go to Michael's all the time, buy all these crafts, bring them home, and then forget why I bought them. And then another idea pops in my head, and I think this is where the bipolar is. I don't know if this is a normal thing, but this is what I feel like it is for me. And then I got another idea that I want to go do, right? And another one. I bought all these crafts, and I'm like, they just, so I've gotten to better about not buying this stuff as often, but that is actually the reason I buy the stuff, is because this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And then when I actually go do it, I don't remember why I bought it. So it's
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah. I I I don't think I think that is pretty normal.
Mm.
That's not the first time that I've
Heard
in
that.
a more than a decade of doing what I do. That's not the first time that I've heard that. So
That's funny.
it really is that.
Pinterest is like crack cocaine, man. I'll get on there and I'm like, check out what they did with water
Now, what do
bottles.
you do with the crafts afterward? I'm just curious.
The crafts, I like doing door prizes for my business and giving them away.
Okay, you like giving them away?
Yeah, so
I
like
you were gonna
I
say that.
bought succulents, right? And then I see all these cool things on Pinterest, that these little um name things that they put on the succulent plants, is, like I suck, um or it'll be like a small cactus, don't be a prick. It just cute little things like that. And I think
Mhm.
it's funny. So I'll do something like that. And then I'll put like a $5 Starbucks gift card and give it away. I love to give stuff
Love to give
away.
stuff away. I
So
I knew you were gonna say that.
yes. So I have a soap line, and the only reason I have quit giving my soaps away is because let me grab one real quick and I'll show you.
Yeah, go for it.
So, I've had my business 8 years, and I did not know that this cannot be a brand because it's an actual picture. So I made the sign. I painted the wagon. I made the little sign for my dog, right? Everything is made except the dog, the fence, the rocks, and the grass. Everything is made, and I took a picture of it. Well, I didn't know when I started my business that that's not branding. But at some point, I had a logo made of my dog. So I put the dog on the soap, and everybody thought it was dog soap. And I'm like, okay, I'm tired of
Yeah,
explaining.
that is
So
not.
I thought it was a cute idea. I do have another logo for my business, but I have decided that the soaps are going to be under a different name with a different logo,
Okay.
because they don't, although it goes with my business, the name does, no, it doesn't work out, and it's very, very confusing for people. So
Yeah.
it's been an interesting lesson, but I love the soap, so that's something I'm going to do. Again, I have to spend another 15, well, no, probably about 3 to 500 to get a new logo and order soap. And I'm like, I don't want to spend the money right now. So I'm keeping the soap and using it myself. And then I find other things to give away, or I buy other things to give away. So I did a coloring book for my business, and I'll give that away with maybe $5 gift card. So I love, basically, it for my customers as well. I just love giving stuff away. I don't know why. No, I do know why, but anyway,
Why
I'll
do you think that is?
I've been doing that since junior high, and I think for me, that was my way of getting friends, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's not that I want, and I'm not saying I don't want friends. I don't I have a lot of acquaintances, but to be a friend, that's a different word and a different meaning to me. So like for instance, when I met my husband, I was having a lot of problems, and I mean a lot. And so I would call him at 2 in the morning. Bam, he'd show up, right? That is a friend. So I don't need somebody to come to me and talk to me at 2 in the morning. I mean, you can talk to me about your problems, but I don't go looking for people to talk to at 2 in the morning. I have learned how to deal with my own problems, and I'm very self-analytical, but that, for whatever reason, is still there, that I I I don't know if it's to I don't feel like I'm trying to buy friendship other than
You
buy. Huh? Oh, go
you
ahead.
are
I think it is.
at a subconscious level.
Yeah,
And it's because the insecurity is you don't believe that you yourself are enough of a gift.
I will go with that because I've seen some
They're
things.
they're only 5. But and like I said, for me, it's the I'm gonna look pretty on the inside to mask how I
Mhm,
feel about myself on the or on the outside so that I can mask how I feel about myself on the inside.
yeah,
But there are only like 5 different beliefs that are producing the results.
and that's like
And
one of them.
if yeah, if someone tells me where they overspend, because I mean, it's not groceries or your
Mm-mm,
mortgage or like that's not overspending. This is
uh,
just living expense. This is necessary. It's what you do to comfort yourself emotionally that later you're going to pay for
yeah,
because you overextended yourself
mhm,
because you were emotional.
yep, yep. I mean,
If
I knew why I did it. I
yeah,
I don't I haven't figured out how to fix that one yet, because I love to see people happy, and that I call, I call my purpose jacking with people. So for instance, if I go to Quick Trip and I hold the door open for someone, I'll jack with them and go, "Hey man, there's a $20 door charge when you come in." And they're like, "What?" And it's funny. I get a few funny looks, but most people actually find it funny.
yeah.
Or, we're walking up at the same time and I'm like, "Hey, I'll race you." So it's just silly things like that that I enjoy doing. And so when I give something away, um, whether it be to a customer, right? A soap to a customer or a coloring book to a kid, whatever. I just enjoy it. I enjoy the feeling I get from it. I don't really feel like I'm trying to find friends anymore, but I am trying to buy something. I just don't exactly know what it is anymore, you know?
If it's not the relationship, then it's a validation, even if it's just for yourself.
Maybe that's it. Yeah. Yeah. And
And
I could see that.
and so the process, okay? Because you don't have to stop what you're doing
Mhm.
if it brings you joy. Like I didn't stop buying clothes. Spoiler. I didn't. I just stopped believing that that was going to fix my emotions,
Oops, sorry.
that that process was going to regulate my emotions.
Mhm.
And so I found healthier coping mechanisms for when I was, well, and it's not even, I won't say healthier. I found tools to help with the emotions that produced the results that I actually wanted
Mhm. Yep.
so that I could enjoy spending money on clothes without having to feel guilty about it.
Mhm.
Because I built a budget. Now, not to say, like I said, that it's not that the Dave Ramsey's and the, crash diet kind of thing. It's not that they don't do some things right.
Right.
You should spend less than you make.
Yeah.
Okay? That's just good
Facts.
planning, because that means you have some left over
Yes.
and you might need it later,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good advice. Investing, also amazing advice. Every dollar that you send to work today is less days that you have to work later on.
Mm-hmm.
Good advice. But a lot of the self-sabotage, and why people don't get to where they want to go ultimately is because the emotional component is never discussed. The human component is left out. It's just math.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just math. We're
Yeah.
emotional creatures, and we spend our money emotionally, and we try and justify it logically.
Yeah.
And
I see all
so,
that. Yeah.
yeah, but
So,
it is easy to replace. It's easy to intentionally replace those beliefs.
mm-hmm.
There are just a couple of exercises that you can do on a regular basis until and how you know that it's worked is you are seeing the result that you had intended for,
Mm-hmm.
right? A
Yeah.
different result in your life. And if at any point in time that belief no longer serves you, you replace that one with something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm not talking about values. I don't think you should change your values, but
Right.
you can change your beliefs as easy as you change your clothes.
Yeah. I believe that. Yeah.
And so long as it's working for you, keep it. But if it's not working for you, why are we keeping it? That's
Yeah.
like wearing clothes that don't fit anymore.
Yeah. I love it. So we have to, I hate doing this. We have to
No, go ahead.
kind of shut it down. So I'm going to ask you one question, and then after the question I want you to share like how people can get in touch with you.
Sure.
So the question is, how do you get the junk out of your life when in the trash out of your life when it piles up?
Ooh, okay. So I have a belief that the trash takes itself out.
All right.
Okay. Um, I am very intentional about me. I'm a very strong personality, and a lot of people cannot. They cannot. And I have a prayer and intention every single day that whoever I'm supposed to meet, I meet, and whatever is no longer serving me, that it go.
Yeah.
And so that for me, that intention of that there's always going to be people coming in, there's always going to be people leaving, that works.
Mm-hmm.
It works for me. And I did kind of like on the physical side of things, I did something kind of extreme. My husband and I, we sold our house before we had purchased a new one, and we decided we were going to move states completely. We didn't know where we were going to land, but we were going to move out of state, and we had to get rid of everything. We had to put everything into the storage unit that was available at
Mm-hmm.
that point in time, which
Mm-hmm.
was not a very big storage unit. So we had to get very discerning with what we kept. And we traveled around the country, us and our 3 kids and our dog,
Oh.
with one suitcase for 5 months.
Wow.
And man, did I figure out how little I actually need the things that are
Mm-hmm.
the things that I have accumulated in my life. And I'm not saying that people have to go to that extreme necessarily, but one thing that I have seen people do successfully, I've never tried this, but is you like for clothes example, at the beginning of the year, you turn all of your hangers backward on the rack.
Yeah.
And any piece of clothing where the hanger is still backward because you didn't use that piece of clothes at the end of the year it goes,
I love that idea.
and so you just make little
Mm-hmm.
little systems in your life
Mm-hmm.
that will show you whether or not something actually has utility, if it's useful anymore or not.
Yeah. I like that idea. I'll have to try that. It's really funny. I hate clothes. I hate buying clothes. And so I just buy like a lot of black shirts, and then I'll go look because I'm going somewhere nice, and I'm like, oh my God, all I have is black. I
That's
need
it.
something else. So I'm tired of the black shirts, but it's really funny.
Black's such a happy color though.
Yeah, I make it happy. But it just goes with everything
It's
as far
either
as
pink
I'm
or black
concerned.
for me. That's
Yeah.
There really is no in between.
I'm scared to do white. I just stay dirty. I get dirty. I don't have to do anything. I just get dirty. So, um, that's why I like black. And you just can't see all the dirt that I probably got into. So, but I want you to leave your information on how our listeners can get a hold of you. And one way is, if you still can't find her, please get in touch with me. I will be more than happy to connect you with her. She is truly amazing. She has no idea I am going to be talking with her when we get done here. Go ahead.
Oh, that's so great. I'm so glad that we got to spend some time together today.
Me too.
And there are a couple of ways that people could get in touch with me if they so choose. If they want to be entertained, they can find me on TikTok at underscore the pretty penny. If they want to be inspired or connect, they can do that on Instagram at underscore the pretty penny. And both of those social platforms have a bio link. So if you're just looking at my front page on either of those, there's
Mhm.
a little hyperlink there to schedule a one-on-one consultation if they're interested to see what their limiting beliefs are when it comes
I
to money.
love it. That is amazing. So thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. It has been just fun and man, extremely informative. And so I definitely learned a lot today, and today's a good day to start putting some of this in use. So I love it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for
And
having me.
it's been awesome. I would love to have you again, and share these ideas and these ways for people to help get back in control of their finances, and not feel like the world is just spinning and they can't stop it. So anything to help them, that'd be awesome. So
Absolutely, I agree.
yeah, thank you all so much for listening, and we will talk with you later. Have an awesome day.